Hey, Clayton, could there be aliens? Oh boy, this is going to be a good one. We read the creation account in Genesis 1, and it didn't say anything about other planets or galaxies. I know you already answered a question about dinosaurs, but what about aliens? Could there be life on other planets? Oh my gosh, I love this. I don't think it's going to come as a surprise to anyone, but I love alien stories. I love stories of first contact where human beings come in contact with a new species and they got to figure them out. I just think those are so fascinating and so fun. I've read and watched so many of them. It's awesome. So I have actually pondered this question probably more than anybody probably should. But let me make it simple. Let me break it into two different questions, okay? One question is this: could there be life on other planets? And the simple answer is, of course there could. There is nothing that says there couldn't be life on other planets. God made all sorts of things in the universe, and there's no reason he couldn't say, you know what, on some other planet, some other solar system, some other galaxy, I'm going to have other kinds of life. When we travel around the globe, we find life all over the place. There's no reason he couldn't have done something like that, the equivalent of plants or animals or all the rest on those planets. It would not surprise me in the least if at some point we discover that there is organic life on other planets. The other question, though, that's kind of in this one is, could there be other creatures who are intelligent life, right? They're intelligent, they have morality, maybe they're spiritual creatures like us, right? Like, that's really the interesting question. It's not, will you find a plant on another planet? It's, will you find intelligent, moral, spiritual life, the equivalent of human beings on another planet? And this answer may surprise you, but not only is it possible, we do actually know that they exist. The Bible actually tells us about another race of beings that are intelligent, moral, and spiritual, and I think you know what I'm talking about. Angels. Angels and their evil equivalent, demons. We know that other than human beings, there are other creatures who have rational minds, who have a spiritual nature, and who have moral decision-making, just like us. They exist. They are angels and demons. Now, because of that, that means there is nothing that prevents God from creating other beings that have those qualities, because we know he's made at least two different species that have those qualities. So, could there be somewhere out there in the cosmos some other race of beings that have those qualities? Quite possibly. Now, it doesn't mean there definitely is, but there is nothing that we know about us that prevents God from doing that. So, it could be. And you might be surprised at this. All throughout the church history, even before we kind of realized what other planets were, there was speculation of, could God do this? There was talk about this in medieval and early modern conversations. So it's pretty interesting. Now, that question raises a whole lot of other questions, right? So for example, if there were intelligent creatures on some other planet, could we ever contact them? Okay, you're going to have to ask the physicist about that. From my current understanding of physics says it's going to be pretty stinking hard for anybody to travel the distances involved or communicate in any meaningful way across those distances. So I don't know if we could contact them. I don't think it's likely, but I'm not a physicist and I don't know what we'll discover in the future. Another question that comes up: are UFOs, or what they're now calling UAPs, are they aliens, right? These things that people cite, are those spaceships from another planet? I think it's highly unlikely. Again, this is not a theological question, but it doesn't seem to make sense to me in our current understanding of physics in the universe that's what those things are. So I am, as much as I would love to find out there is life on other planets, I don't think this is evidence of that. Some people will follow up that question and say, when people think they have encountered an alien, could that be demonic? And the answer is yes, it quite possibly could be demonic. It also could be some sort of psychological break, or some sort of thing that is experienced through trauma and things that go on with that. So there could be other reasons for that. But it is possible that the forces of darkness are deceiving people in that way. I'm not sure what the purpose would be, but it's possible that could be the case. If we discovered life on other planets, here's where the theological questions come in. If there was other intelligent life, would they be affected by the fall of humanity, right? Like the human beings were cursed and the world around us was cursed through our sin, but is that just planet Earth, right? Or other places, if they hadn't sinned, would they be cursed the way we are? And would our sin have affected them? Then there's always the question, do they know about God? Have they sinned, or are they innocent, right? Like, did they not rebel against God the way some angels did and, human beings did? So you got to say, are they sinful? And then the question is, did Jesus show up there, right? If God became a human being, does he become incarnate as some other creature? I think the odds are no, but I don't want to limit God on that. And then the question is, did what Jesus accomplished on the cross and in the resurrection, would it affect them? And if we encounter them, would we have to evangelize them and say, let me tell you what happened on our planet? God showed up and did something amazing. We want to tell you. We've crossed all the light years so that you could know about what Jesus did. These are basically unanswerable questions. They're speculative, which means we can't know definitively, and you should not make too much of them. What they are interesting for is exploring the concepts involved, okay? So if you say, could Jesus have been incarnated as an alien on another planet, if there are aliens on another planet, it might help you think through, what does the incarnation mean? If you say, did the cross and the resurrection affect them? It makes you ask the question, what did the cross and the resurrection do? Would we have to evangelize them? You say, who is the gospel for, right? We don't share the gospel with demons so that they can repent and believe, right? Would we have to do that for aliens? So here's the reality. You don't have to make too much of the idea that there could possibly be aliens out there. We have no evidence that there are, but it is an interesting thing to ponder about. It won't surprise you that I'm going to reference C.S. Lewis in this. C.S. Lewis wrote a series of books called the Space Trilogy. The first two are called Out of the Silent Planet and Paralandra. They're two of my favorite books, and they are purely speculative. He says, what if some Christian ends up on Mars, and what if some Christian ends up on Venus, and what would happen there? And he encountered aliens. And it's very interesting, though, how Lewis uses it to explore ideas of sin and sacrifice and humanity and spiritual warfare and all sorts of stuff. They're fantasy, but they stimulate interesting thought. Here's one thing I know for sure. What Jesus accomplished here on earth in 33 AD on a hill in Israel has cosmic implications across the entire universe. All of created existence was affected by what Jesus did there. We know that because when the Bible describes the results of Jesus' death and resurrection and ascension to the throne of the universe, it describes it in universal terms. Jesus subjugated all the principalities and powers, all the spiritual forces in the universe, all the forces of darkness, all the forces of good. They are all under his feet. He is the ruler over them all. The reason he went to the throne of the entire universe is because of something he did in the Middle East 2,000 years ago. And the bizarro thought that thing in one tiny location in this vast universe would affect all of creation is absolutely mind-boggling. But the result of it is going to be an entire remaking of the cosmos, any hypothetical aliens and all. Thanks for listening. If you've got your own questions, email questions@BibleSavvy.com. Like and subscribe to catch our regular episodes every Monday on the Bible Savvy Podcast.